Okay, let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited y'all could join us. We we are hosting this call as Mask, but me and Sonia are both on the Mask board. And I just want to say up top, I know that this call is, called Countering Narratives, the Weaponization of Mixed Race Identity in Politics. And we will be talking about, obviously, the terrible remarks made about being mixed that Trump and Vance made about Kamala. But I do want to say that this call is in no way an endorsement of any candidate in any way. This is simply a community call to hold space, to provide education, to have a discussion around this, and to meet the moment, essentially. And any of the views expressed are the views of each individual and not of Mask. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way. Sonia, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sonia Smith Kang. I am Vice President of Multiracial Americans of Southern California. Although it says Southern California, we are growing and we're so excited to have everybody. I see a few board members on our call. If you want to drop down in there and let folks know, hey, a board member here. So if you see any responses from these team members come through, you know that that is from Mask there. Um, Mask, as most of you know, has been around for over 25 years. Co-founded by Nancy Brown, who is still on our board. She is uh, fantastic, got us all together. We were instrumental in getting checked more than one box that all the folks know now from the current US Census. And so the work that we do is not only in community and bringing folks together like this for this call, but we put on in-person events, uh, from we have Loma Film Festival tonight, which we're really excited about. And that is giving filmmakers an opportunity that represent the mixed race community to shine. So we're really excited about that. And take it out. Go ahead, Sophie. I got a landline happening right now, but go ahead, take it over, Sophie. Sophie.
Okay, perfect. Before we move forward, I just want to set a primer on why we chose the title that we did. When we talk about weaponization of identity, we're talking about involving the use of someone's racial or ethnic background to attack or undermine or discredit them in some way for political or social gain. And what it does is it exploits prejudices and stereotypes and negative narratives to basically create division, continue the stereotyping, and discredit the individual, which was entirely what the purpose of, Trump and Vance's remarks about Kamala's identity were. And like I said, the purpose is to create division. It is to reinforce those stereotypes and narratives. And just at the end of the day, it's a tactic that perpetuates stigma and exclusion and systemic inequity. And it's crucial for us to promote accurate representation and challenge these narratives and stereotypes and support inclusive policies to combat these as well. Um, so that was, kind of the primer for the call and the space that we're coming from, talking about how this is harmful to our community and how it's been harming our community. There's been different laws created around, miscegenation and like the one drop rule and segregation and different things like that that have been, done in this same energy. And obviously, they've only perpetuated that harm and that inequity and injustice. And we stand against all of that. So on today's call, we are here to, provide that education and counter those narratives and also provide space and just hold each other in this moment. So I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement. Mask and me and Sonia are coming from the unceded territories of the Chumash and the Tongva nations, aka Los Angeles. For inclusivity, I have long brown hair, lighter skin. I'm wearing a black shirt. It says mixed and hella Asian. It's from a friend of mine, Militantly Mixed Podcast. Please check them out and support. And then Sonia, would you like to do your inclusivity descriptor?
See here. Hi there. I am, again, Sonia Smith Kang. I just want to share my background. I'm African American and Mexican, and identify as such. And let's see here. I got my hair pulled back, brown hair in a bun, and wearing a solid black dress. Thank you.
Wonderful. My pronouns are she, her as well. You can see them on the screen. And I'm also mixed Japanese, German, Scottish, and Welsh. Yes, we can share our mixes. Yes, please put them in the chat, represent. Okay, I'm going to send it over to Victoria Grace Alfonso, who is the founder of the Reading Rainbow LLC, a spiritualist, a poet, open for Rupi Kaur, amazing. Go ahead, share your pronouns, your inclusivity descriptor, your land acknowledgement, and you can go ahead and get us started.
Thank you so it's so nice to meet everyone, and so thank you for including me with this because I feel really honored and I'm just already really overwhelmed with gratitude for this. So my name is Victoria Grace. My pronouns are she and her. The tribal lands that I live on, I live in Cranston, Rhode Island, are the Wampanoag, the Nahagansett, and the Pokanoket. My inclusivity description, I have short brown hair. I'm wearing, it's down. I also have bangs, and I'm wearing a pink halter top right now. It's like a hot pink. Um, and I'm going to just jump right into the poem. I do say the title at the end. It's a little bit longer. So just for a heads up for everybody. But yeah, and then thank you again. Whenever I've ever been asked my favorite color, I've always said rainbow. And when I was younger, I didn't know, and I wasn't fully conscious of how deep that statement actually was and continues to be for me. Because I've always loved a rainbow and I've always been one. And you are too. And not everyone has always or may ever see it or value it. And when it comes to my prism of ancestors and stories and ethnicities, I know the person who really couldn't see the beauty in it for the longest time was always me. Are you Spanish? No way, you're not Irish. You don't look white though. My grandmother Donna spent her life raising 4 boys who looked way more like their absent Filipino father than her with her Irish complexion. So when the new man that I just matched with on Hinge tells me that he loves that I'm mixed, insinuating there's an issue with me being white, all I can think about is grandma's independent Irish self walking to her front pew at church with her 4 brown-skinned boys every Sunday, unwed and living in poverty, watched by a congregation of evil eyes. And all my life, I've had people telling me what they think I do or don't look like, inquiring and monitoring whether or not I'm Asian or Spanish or if I'm just white. Saying things like, you can't tell you're mixed, or no, you can tell you're not just white. Or my least favorite of all, you're mad exotic looking. And I fully understand now how these ignorant perceptions actually believed that these words were supposed to be compliments to me. But they didn't know or notice how condescending their lack of mindfulness was, not just to me, but to every biracial individual and to every family root holding up my personal family trait. Is your dad your real dad? Your sister looks way more Asian than you. You don't even look Filipino. My family comes from Cavite, and my dad was our first generation born in America. And my grandfather and uncle were chosen as 2 of 6 individuals selected out of 7,000 Filipino men to serve in the U.S. Navy. You look so Italian. You can tell you're Italian. You sound so Italian. I don't speak Italian. I don't know how to make a gravy, and I've never been to Sicily. But my guardian angel is my noni, and when it comes to my family, blood and chosen, I am ancestrally guided on both sides to always fight for what is right. Which is why whenever I've ever been asked, what are you? I've never felt the desire to answer, because it's not what, it's who. It's who I am. It's who we are. It's the root of our roots. And it's ignorant of me if I don't acknowledge the roots that were growing on this land and in this world long before my seed was ever planted in the soil. I have always said, whenever I've ever been asked, my favorite color, that it's rainbow. And now that I'm older and wiser, just like the trees that stand around me and behind me and before me, I'm so blessed to know just how deep that statement really goes. My piece of sky. That's it. Thank you guys.
I'm like, did anyone else start crying? Because I definitely was like, oh.
Nope,
No,
I love you. I love you.
beautiful. I love you too. Thank you so much for sharing that and kind of grounding us and holding us in that, just common experience of being mixed race. So I would love to now get into introducing the panelists and getting into the discussion. Thank you so much, Victoria. Let's start with Alex. Um, Alex Chester Iwata. I will have you go ahead and do your introduction, but Alex is the founder of Mixed Asian Media, also an actor and total all-around mixed Asian baddie. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm so glad we're having this very, very much needed conversation. And that poem was just, oh, chef's kiss. I'm Alex Chester Iwata, pronouns she, her, hers. I am currently on the occupied land of the Lenape people, New York City. I am bi-coastal, so I'm in LA a lot. As Sophie said, I run Mixed Asian Media. We are a website and community for Mixed Asian Pacific Islanders, and we're also trying to include in the adoptee narrative as well. We have, real quick, Mixed Asian Day happening September 14th in Los Angeles. Please, please come. It's going to be amazing. I can share more with you later.
Wonderful. Okay. And I'm sorry, did I miss it? Did you share your pronouns?
Pronouns, and yes, what I look like. I have just below shoulder length wavy hair that's purple. I have bangs. My skin is tan, and I'm wearing a black tank top with some gold jewelry, and I have bangs. Oh, and I'm half Japanese American and Ashkenazi Jewish.
Yay, I love it. Okay, Rohan. Rohan is the founder of the Blasian March, also mixed Asian baddie, dancer, writer, organizer, amazing soul. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Soph. Great to be here. My name is Rohan Jolie, and my English pronouns are they, them. I also respond to Asia, Ta, and Sha. And I am a brown-skinned Black Asian with Black curly hair. And yeah, also shameless plug. Also on September 14th, our organization, the Blasian March, is running a free book fair of Black and Asian literature to build solidarity in Orlando, Florida. I will also plug that later alongside Alex. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Love it. Also coming from Lenape land, right?
Yes, thank you. I am on the unceded territories of the Lenapehoking people. And if folks want to do some extra work, there is this wonderful group called the Lenape Center. I'll drop their link in the chat to learn more about them, see what they do, all those things.
I love it. Thank you so much. And finally, Gabby, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Gabby is also famous actor, Disney Channel star, and writer and community supporter. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabrielle. Just an FYI, I do prefer Gabrielle. No big deal. My pronouns are she, her, and I am Japanese, Filipino, Black, and Scottish. Yeah, I am an actress. I'm a writer, also host of my own podcast that interviews Asian Americans, Black mixed Americans, and all types of mixes and beautiful tapestries like myself in this community. And I talk to them about their journey through entertainment and what it's been like being mixed race. So also an actress, also a writer, writing a comedy pilot about what it is to be mixed race. And yeah, my pronouns are she, her.
Sorry, I know there was so much. Yes. And then
Am I
just your
missing something?
inclusivity descriptor. Yes.
Yes.
And you're
So
in LA also. So
yes,
home
I am.
to
I am
Tumac
in
territory.
Los Angeles. My community descriptors are: I'm wearing a Fall Out Boy t-shirt. My hair is in a slick back bun because this humidity was killing my curly hair. And I have gold hoops and gold jewelry on.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. And apologies, Gabrielle. My bad. My bad. Okay. So let's start with, first question up top. We're going to get a little deep. Can you share a personal experience where your multiracial identity was questioned or misunderstood and how you navigated the situation? I'm gonna go ahead and queue up Alex, but then y'all can just jump in right after.
Actually, this just happened very recently at an event. I won't say what event. I was given a booth to talk about Mixed Asian Day. Someone was like, "Oh, that's why you look white." And I was just like, "Cool." And then some other guy was like, "How do you think Trump would respond to your mixedness?" This was at a BIPOC event, mind you, and these were comments from monoracial folks. And then someone else asked if Mixed Asian media was serving mixed alcoholic beverages. Yeah, this just happened.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
just like, okay, breathe, keep a smile. You can't start screaming or cussing them out at this event, Alex. But yeah, that was interesting. Fortunately or not fortunately, my mom was with me, and she kept me calm, which was good. I had the good support, and then I had a bunch of other friends there, and they were very, very supportive of that happening. It's just amazing to me, even of all the work and even how it just still, I shouldn't be shocked by it, but I always am, and I wish I could figure out a way not to be. But I've been very, very privileged to be surrounded by very incredible, amazing folks that do not question my identity. And I've purposely have done that for myself because of my traumas as a child actor. And so when I am put in these positions where I am being questioned, it's just like, yeah. Anyways, that's my story.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It is, there's a couple comments in the chat about how exhausting these kind of experiences are because they're so frequent, and completely agreed. Who would like to go ahead and hop in? Go ahead, Gabrielle.
So mine actually happened when I was 18. It was very significant. It was like my second year out in Los Angeles, and I was dating a monoracial man, and a very, very significant shooting happened. I think it was Philando Castile. And, every time police brutality happens, it's very dark for me. And, I grieve along with my other communities and things like that. And mostly because, as I'm sure you guys relate to as well, I have Black and dark skinned family members, which including is my father. And one thing that I've always noticed in the bias is my dad is a very esteemed emergency medicine doctor. But where we grew up, which was Texas, that didn't matter. He was Black first, doctor second. And even though coming out to LA and it's way much more diverse and things like that, we still face racial bias on a daily basis. And dating this monoracial man, and this shooting happened, I remember being so vulnerable with him and saying like, my father, my cousin, my uncle, your brother, my brother, this could happen to them. I don't know what I would do. And then we got into the topic of children. And, being mixed race, I know that it could be a surprise about what I don't like saying this, but how tan or colored or melanin my baby will have. And I remember voicing that concern. And instead of embracing me, loving me, seeing me in my vulnerability, this man then meets my vulnerability with, so you're going to raise my child to hate me. And I was like, that is not what I said. Because mind you guys, my mother is half white. I have white family members. And my parents always raised me to lead with character first. My race came second. And that's how I lead my life now. That's how I create my art now. And for somebody to say that to me when that was not the point, and for something so big to have happened and could be very real for a child, especially if I make a child with a monoracial man, was very eye-opening to me. And I think that's where I felt the most deserted. But I'm proud because I said, that's not what I led with. And the fact that you picked that up is your own reflection of yourself. That's something you need to look at. We're not together anymore, obviously. But yes, that was very significant because I was getting into my adult love life and things of that nature. And realized, this goes way deeper than how I look and how I navigate. It's also who I choose to procreate with, and what legacy I want to leave for my family.
Thank you for sharing that and being very vulnerable. That is like, I think you saw all of our eyes just go.
Yeah.
That was
girl, me too. At that moment, I was like, do I murder this man?
Or Rohan's like, yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, Rohan, do you want to share?
I do. I was literally writing down the top 3 because there's just so many. Like, I mean, first off, I love people look at mixed race folks and like, y'all are like the solution to racism. And I'm like, actually, that's y'all problem. So I think I'm only gonna pick one to save time. I was organizing a couple years ago this action for the Filipino community, and essentially it had come in response to a really extreme moment of anti-Asian violence. Specifically, a Filipino woman had been assaulted upstate. She was punched 100 times, I believe, by somebody. And so I was brought on board to kind of help with the rally. And I definitely had to fix a lot of things. One, they did this rally without her permission or consent, which to me as an organizer is like big, humongous. If this person is a survivor of this violence, their needs need to be centered before your desires, first and foremost. They were even gonna like use her experience as the title of the action. So of course, I eventually was like, this can't be done. I wound up reworking their entire event. I wound up coining the event Filipinos Rise Up. And that hashtag kind of went around the community relatively quickly. And then came time for developing the like speaker lineup. And some folks had nominated me to be on the lineup. And I was like, okay, I'm a little tired, but I can do it. And then when the final lineup came through, I noticed that, my name was taken off. And I was kind of like, okay, can someone tell me why? And they were like, well, we want to like, have a list of Filipino women, LGBTQ people. And I was like, okay, I am queer and Filipino. I'm trying to figure out, I mean, for me, it's the obvious issue is that I am Black. So I kind of came back at them and was like, well, I have a whole list of... I have a whole list.
It's gonna be too hot to sit outside.
Hey, Kelly, I think your mic's on.
I
Kelly.
am so sorry. I am really listening to y'all, and I'm also taking care of a newborn. Please continue. I
Oh,
apologize.
we love babies. um, where was I? Oh yeah. So you know, I was like, I have a whole list of these Black Filipino women who are also queer because whatever you have against me, even though I completely fixed your rally, whatever. And then they said we do not want to. They basically did not want to include Black Filipino people, and they told me that they wanted to quote aim for what is feasible, even though I was already like in the event pulling everything. So my immediate response was pull my name, pull my logo, Blasian March, we are withdrawing our endorsement. Like, I would say more colorful language, but I don't know everyone's standards in this space. So, and I guess for me, it's been more of a part of why I loved how this space opened up with poetry is that sometimes art has been such the beautiful way to navigate these things. And yeah, it's turned into me writing an article for Reappropriate about this crap, and doing other things that are explicitly to educate the community on Black Filipino solidarity.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for I'm so glad we did have the poem because we immediately got real into the heavy stuff. Wow. Thank you everyone for being very vulnerable with your sharing. And I know that we have so many more stories. And you know, the point of this call is to talk about how the weaponization of our identities leads to these kind of moments. You know, when we reinforce narratives like, you know, I don't really want to quote that person, but you know, to refer to mixed people as like inherently not trustworthy because we're chameleons, or to say that, you know, we're just like flip-flopping with our identity, whatever, you know, I'm not going to say the whole line, but basically, yeah. And just to reference things like that is very hurtful. And when it's done in the political space, it gives license for it to trickle down in so many different ways. And we've seen that throughout history across a myriad of things. I mean, I think a very recent example where we saw this was, you know, during the lockdown when all the anti-Chinese rhetoric was coming through, we saw the increased attack first on our elders and then just on all Asians. And the criteria was Asian. And it was just it was a very terrifying, I mean, it's still terrifying because they didn't stop. The news just stopped talking about it. But yeah, and so we're seeing how these can have such it can really impact the community on a deeper level. And it's just not always just, oh, he's just joking or he just said this or whatever. He's not talking about all. Yes, he is. And when we're saying it in this space, it makes it okay to say it in other spaces. And we're already struggling enough as it is. So let's move forward with the next question. I'm going to have Rohan start, but how does political rhetoric, like the recent remarks about VP Kamala Harris, like how does it actually continue to affect the community? And what are some ways that we can address it?
Sure. Well, I love this question because I feel like the first thing we need to do is name it to change it. And um, and I think it goes across the political spectrum. Like I have been in so many left-leaning progressive spaces where you know, folks will not acknowledge that Harris is part Indian or vice versa. I've been in so many like Asian American spaces where they will just ignore her blackness. I'm, and that is part of that rhetoric, right? It is the enforcement across the political spectrum that we as mixed race people have to somehow align with a side or choose a side or pick a part of us that aligns with monoracial privilege, monoracial power, monoracial gazes, which serves literally nobody. And it serves nothing but white supremacy, the colonial state, you name it. So I think one strategy with Blasian March has definitely been education. It's been providing lots of spaces to speak exactly on these moments of solidarity, to speak on instances of mixed race identity, how mixed race is a part of the legacy of our resistance. I also, for me, again, I'm an artist. So putting art into the political has definitely, for me, especially as a Black Asian, it's looked like hypervisibility. It's looked like being of this dark brown complexion, but also wearing very out and proud Chinese clothing. You know, these are ways to, in my opinion, almost like suspend or directly counter through the celebration of who we are.
Amazing. Yeah, and I love that, you know, we kind of covered a few different things here, and I'm let me let everyone else add. Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead, Gabrielle. Yes, please.
Sure.
Question
go ahead. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
Oh, I just wanted to hear the question once more.
Oh, yeah. You know, how does the political rhetoric, like the recent remarks about VP Kamala Harris, affect the community, and what are ways that you suggest we address it?
Great. Okay. So because I am in entertainment and because I am in the media, politics influences media. Media influences the world, pretty much. It's the biggest, most consumed form of art. When I heard these comments, not only, I mean, of course, everybody could share how maddening it was and how utterly arrogant it was and idiotic, but we know who we're dealing with. But like you said, Sophia, it starts in one of the most powerful places on the planet, which is the White House, and it trickles down into everyday life. So not only, of course, we can share pain and share fear and share, and not only people trying to put us in a box and have us stay there and chain up the box, lock the box, try to put the box in the fire, but how I choose to deal with this also very much like Rohan is in my art and what I choose to say with my podcast, with the pilot that I'm writing. And I'm lucky enough to also teach acting to young teenagers. And one of the best things that I've seen is hearing these kids and how they feel and express themselves through art. And I've come across other mixed race kids and people of mixed race who are also LGBTQ+. And really, I mean, it sounds very corny and cliche, but it's like it starts with kindness, it starts with love and an open heart. Sometimes you can lead with that and it doesn't land on people. And again, their problem, not mine. But it's important to keep addressing these things in a conglomerate like this and counteract it and being like, you can say these things, but here it's coming from a true source, meaning mixed race people and through their arts, which I'm sure that Alex can attest to and Rohan can attest to. And I lost my train of thought, but he wants to weaponize mixed race in the media, and in a very simple term is like, I want to counteract that and say, it's coming straight from the horse's mouth. Here's what it actually is, and I guess two can play at that game type of thing. It makes me want to make that conglomerate even bigger on a positive scale.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that we're talking about how do we, you know, approach it from, you know, educational and, you know, political and representation, but also from a creative and innovative standpoint. So thank you so much. Okay, Alex, do you have more you want to add?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about taking up space unapologetically, not being afraid to be in rooms or situations where you're going to get questioned about your identity, and just being there. I'm allowed to be here. I should be here. I am part of this space, and you're going to listen to me. I think it's very much an act of bravery to do that, because it's scary. I'm not going to lie. It can be very scary, very intimidating. But if you are confident in your own skin and know your self-worth, then no one else can tell you differently. And I think that's one of the really important reasons why mixed Asian media exists, is because we want to tell those stories of our mixed friends, and have a space for people to feel seen, feel heard, feel validated, that they are enough. So that is one of the reasons why mixed Asian media was very much created. And it's one of my missions, is to take up space. Don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve, and don't take no for an answer. And there's ways to do that with being kind, as just to piggyback on what you just said about kindness, because it does all come from a place of kindness and love, at least our missions here. You know, not everyone is going to vibe with that, sadly, but don't be afraid to take up space. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be heard.
Wonderful. Oh my God, I love that. Absolutely. And, at the same time, I think it's so important for mixed race folks to hear that, and to, have people around them who remind them of that as well, too, just because of how much we are questioned in every space, right? So thank you for sharing that. So my next question, Gabrielle, I can have you start this one. How important is it for mixed race individuals to see themselves represented in politics specifically, or in that kind of space in some way?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is it's so important. I mean, much like Obama was a catalyst for that. It meant so much to the community. And to see ourselves in higher spaces, I think speaks volumes, invaluable volumes. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. I mean, yeah.
Short and sweet. I love it. Rohan, Alex, would y'all like to add anything else? Good. Oh, yeah.
I think it depends. I think it depends on, I guess, the content of their character and the choices they have made. Like, I mean, I'm also thinking about Obama, and I think in certain ways, yes, that is a great breakthrough representation. But if we're thinking about the same person who has, the record of deportations, what does that mean for a mixed person who might have been deported, or who might have lost a family member in that process? What does it mean when we think about, speaking of, Native sovereignty and Indigenous rights, and, the U.S. Army Corps was set on people at Standing Rock? What does that mean for not just Indigenous people, but for mixed race Indigenous people? So that would be my contribution to the question.
Absolutely. And as you were saying that, what came to mind, and then Alex, I'll have you jump in, but was when you're mixed, it does increase the chances of how much policy and systemic issues touch your life. And that, I think, I'm going to even dare to say that we haven't seen maybe a proper example of how to navigate that politically. That's it. I'm running for office. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Alex, do you want to jump in? And yeah, why is it so important to see mixed race people represented in politics or in that space?
When you see yourself, you feel empowered to become it, right? And if you see yourself, you can, and reflect it in politics, in anything, then you feel that you can actually go ahead and do that. That little kid who's mixed, who sees Kamala up there, is going to be like, oh, I can get into politics. I can change the world. And I think that is one of the most vital things. And also, once again, to piggyback what you said, Rohan, is that policies and everything will touch us in so many different ways and aspects because we are mixed, because we are so many different things in one. And being able to have a say and a way to shape the politics in this country is vital and so important in order to see the changes that we want to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Oh my goodness. I feel like we could talk about this for forever. Let me ask a final question and then we'll get into a Q&A where y'all can we'll have a lot of the participants on the call ask questions that they might have. But all right, this will be twofold. And Rohan, I'll have you start again. So what are some practical ways that individuals can get involved in advocating for the community? And what is the future vision that you have for, you know, multiracial identity in society?
Okay. I would encourage folks to educate yourself, but look for the stories you have not considered yet. You know, if you think your advocacy stops at Black Lives Matter, baby, you got to read up on everybody else's struggles too, because they are all connected. And mixed race people, if they intersect every single struggle therefore is the same struggle, through a lens of mixed race. So I would say that educate yourself, specifically looking at this histories that you don't know enough about or realize you don't know anything about. I think for the future, this might be a hot take, but I would like to see the abolition of the idea of race itself. Not in the way of like, I don't see color, because that does not recognize that power structures still exist. I guess I'm trying to say more like, I wish the power dynamics are abolished to the point at which mixed race is normal. It's not a thing to like even like question or bat an eye about. I mean, obviously, given our history, we will never, for a very long time, abolish the idea of race. But I still want us to come to a point where being mixed race is just normal. Go to the Caribbean, everyone there is mixed race. It's like no one cares. Like no one cares in the Caribbean. It's just like whatever.
Oh my God, no, that's beautiful. And then it really does become about the content of your character. It really does become about how you spread your light, you know, and lead with that over everything else. Gabrielle?
Yes. Can you reiterate the question once more? Because I want to get all the points across.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So what are some practical ways that folks can help, you know, advocate for the mixed race community? And then what is your future vision for mixed race folks?
Great. So practical ways, honestly, I agree with Rohan 100% is education, 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 education. And so much so where it's, you know, my mixed race experience could be very different from Alex's. It can be very different from Rohan's. It's I don't know why my mouth doesn't like the end of your name, Rohan. My apologies. It's important to get all perspectives and not only you know, personal experience and peer experience. Yo, put your head in a book, go research some stuff, learn the history, learn your own family history. That helped me immensely. And also, you know, my family, because background on my family is they were all military. Everybody was Air Force except for me, obviously. But my mother was Filipino and white, and my dad is Black and Japanese. Um, and we grew up in white suburban Texas, where we were one of 5 ethnic families. And I grew up there until I was 16 years old when I moved here. And much like Alex reiterated, is my parents taught me to take up space, to take no for an answer. Don't take no for an answer. To, you know, I'm around all these white kids. For all I know, I'm exactly like you. Just because I look a little different from you doesn't make me inferior or make me superior in any way. Meaning just because I'm different than you, I don't have a leg up or a leg down. I deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be questioned. I don't deserve to say pick a box. You don't get to choose that for me. I get to choose that for myself. And on a personal level, and something I'm working on every day, including about my mixed race identity and what that means to me, is being more patient with the people who don't understand it. Because, you know, again, all of us come from different backgrounds, and like my parents taught me to lead with character and taking up space. On a human, non-racial level, you should give that to everybody. Of course, there are lines. There are lines not to be crossed. But if somebody's actually inquiring and they don't quite get it, I am trying to navigate the fact that it's not a personal attack, and it's not because they choose to be ignorant. Again, this stuff is learned. So you have to be patient with the person unlearning what they've learned their whole entire life. And I'm not saying it is our job to educate, but if an opportunity comes by, why not? Of course, everybody's different, and their tolerance or how far they go is up to them. But patience, create something as well, and just lead with your light. And again, I think the most simplest practical way is to just take up as much fucking space as you can. And then my very similar to Rohan is I want to see where mixed race is completely normal. I don't want to be asked what are you for the 100th millionth time anytime I go somewhere, or some being like, oh my god, you were so exotic. Okay, cool, great. I would love for mixed race people to just be normalized and celebrated, and also, you know, find more mixed race families in media as well, of all kinds.
Wonderful. I love that the theme of this has just become lead with your character and take up all the room, which is really what the messaging, you know, we were hoping to get from this was. But Alex, please add some more.
Yeah, so I think some actionable steps are to get involved with your local community organizations. That way you have a say in what is happening. You have a say in your community. You have a say in what you're seeing in your neighborhood. Or get involved in the organizations at your workspace. There are so many of them. Get on boards. That's what I'm doing. I'm on 5 freaking boards because I want to make sure my mixed identity and the narrative has space there. And that if I'm seeing something that I dislike for my community, I can tell them, we're not going to do that. And so I'm changing the face of American Advertising Association, ACE Next Gen. You know, I'm making sure that I have a say in how things look and how things are run. So I think that is one of the easiest ways to get involved. Look at your work. There's so many different programs now. Honestly, if you don't see it, create it. The people will come. I promise you that. You will not be alone. People will come to you. And Facebook is a good resource. Sometimes the Facebook groups get a little sketchball change, but there are people there that are going through the same thing as you. And I swear you can like post and be like, hey, who wants to meet up and talk about what we can do for our neighborhood as mixed folks and see the changes we want to see. And I think that's one of the easiest actionable steps to actually get shit done.
Oh my God, I loved that. Also not sketchball change. Oh my God, that took me out.
Millennial. I don't know what's cool anymore to say.
But I was gonna say, you know, to your points, this call that we're on right now is exactly what Alex just talked about. I'm on the board of masks. Sonia and I were like, yo, how are we meeting the moment, you know? And that's how this call happened. It happened literally in 3 days. Was put together because we wanted to. And that's, you know, and we got to create this wonderful community space for everyone, and to have a say in how it goes down and like what we want it to be and how it should be held and all of that. And I think that that's so powerful when you see that. And yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. Like what exactly what you said is this call in action, 1,000%.
And Sophie, I loved how folks were coming in from their position of strength. And I think sometimes we feel like we have to be on, a board, or we have to be leading, going into like, oh my gosh, I know nothing about this, but I should be over there. No, we want you to come in where you are and just enter. And what Mask tries to do is bring all these groups that are doing things from art, from folks that are coming from media and all these different kind of spaces. And then we're trying to grab all those and say, hey, if this is your, come here. If this is that. So that's who we are. And that's who we've always kind of been, is kind of bringing in all the folks that are doing things, this coalition, if you will, of folks kind of coming together to amplify voices and to kind of share and to educate as well. So I just kind of want to, we are always open for wonderful folks. If there's folks who want to talk to us about, becoming involved, you don't have to be a board member, but if you want to lead somehow, we're always interested in folks who just want to start. And I see a lot of Mask friends on the call who have supported us in our work and in their sharing in their spaces. And I think that's really what it's about, right? Is really just sharing and kind of saying we're here so that people can find us.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to add that I love that Alex said, if you create it, the people will come. We promoted this event for like 12 hours. I'm going to just be honest. And we still managed to get a great community of people in here and pull this off. And sometimes it's just that, And so, very excited. So I want to open up the space. If you have questions, any participants on the call have any questions that they want to ask, please go ahead and you can raise your hand or put them in the chat, whatever you want to do on here. And we can ask, and then we'll just kind of have a little free for all to answer. Yeah. So does anybody have a question or anything that they want to share? It's fine if not, I have more questions. Okay, so while people queue up, all right. Solidarity was a topic that we just didn't really get to touch on as much in this conversation. So how do y'all see, what are some ways that we can build solidarity, and what role does that play in this conversation? Whoever would like to answer first, go ahead.
I go. Well, something that we do at Mixed Asian Media is that we make sure to partner with a bunch of community organizations. And whether they are Asian, they are Black, they're Latinx, whatever. If you're doing good work, I want to work with you. And I want to help you educate and talk about what mixed identity looks like within your community. So that's something we really pride ourselves of doing, is making sure that we do outreach, or I should say I do outreach to people. And as you all know, being a community leader, you're the one that's doing all the 80,000 emails. So yeah, I think that's a big thing, is community partnership. We all want the same thing. We all want to be happy, to feel loved, to feel secure, to feel seen, to have food on the table, right? So we're all working towards the same things. And the way to do it is by working together. And that is something that I really strive for at Mixed Asian Media. And I'm always really proud of the fact that any of the events we put on, they're always in partnership with other amazing organizations within the communities.
Amazing. Rohan and I have done a ton of solidarity work together. So Rohan, you want to put us on some game about solidarity?
Sure. First off, I'll definitely throw some flowers at Alex. Collaborating with Alex has always been such a gem highlight of my organizing life. So y'all check out Mixed Asian Media. I think some of the biggest things I definitely noticed in solidarity work is that a lot of people just don't know the story of the other, quote unquote. We don't know what is Asian American history, what is what is the Asian American struggle against colonization, against empire, on this stolen land, across the Pacific, another hemisphere on this planet. And that's created part of this. I'm basing it on my work specifically, because I cannot speak to other experiences or other political, I guess, struggles, but that deeply fuels the idea that, you know, Asians are the good minority, that we are, you know, especially in comparison to like the way white supremacy envisions Black people, right? We are always seen as like this, but that's deeply the idea that we are like, you know, more educated, more talented, AKA the model minority myth, that was actually used specifically to separate Japanese Americans from the rest of the community. And particularly, this term came out several years after the massive wave of Japanese Americans who survived the internment camps joined Black liberation movement. Specifically, civil rights era, specifically Japanese Americans who would collaborate with the Black Panthers, like that list goes on and on and on. So the way white supremacy has created this narrative and has conditioned us to think of this narrative as truth is part of the problem. So I think solidarity has to start with, what is the story I'm telling myself? What is the mythology that I think is reality? Those need to be identified. And then I think next for me, it looks more like we need to start to find the connections between our struggles and our legacies. So back to my work in Black Asian solidarity with the Blasian March, that's looked like, okay, if we're going to talk about, say, for example, extreme racist violence that have resulted in mass killings in the South towards Black people, or Tulsa, is there a parallel story in the Asian community? And the answer is the LA riots. There are ways to find these connections and weave them and recognize the reasons these are, let me rephrase that. Finding these connections will help us realize that we are not so much other as much as we are similar. And I think that should be the impetus for solidarity. So for the Blasian March, that looks like organizing our annual Blasian Pride. I know Soph and we collaborated a couple of years ago for a Black Asian Trans Power rally out in LA. We have our annual book fair, which is also going to Orlando. Banned books, let's go. That is also to help share these stories. We used to have this great space called Blasian is Beautiful, which was an affinity space for Blasians. We were trying to open it to monoracial people, but the program ran out of funding because we are a very small org. But you know, these are the things that are tangible possibilities to those ideas. Sorry, I was rambling.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. And I think something that's really great for solidarity is also, you know, uplift these orgs, uplift the narratives, uplift people doing the work. If you're like, I just don't even know how to even get into the work, a very minimum thing is to share and like and uplift people who already are. Trust me, there's already people there doing it, and encourage that. And then that can actually start you on the researching process of figuring out how to get involved if you so wish. And also donation. I mean, money talks, y'all, to say that in a little not eloquent way. But please, okay, Gabrielle, please go ahead and add some more. You have some more.
No, I mean, I don't think I can add any more than what was already beautifully said. But, you know, I think also a way to show solidarity is, yeah, being involved in calls like this, listening as well, and getting involved as little or as much as you can, liking, sharing, even talking about it amongst your peers, I think is great. And yeah, honestly, I think everybody really hit beautiful points, so I don't have anything else to add other than echoing.
I'd like to just quickly, you know, finish off here with my thought. I know we're closing. I asked our president of MASC, Delia, who is on the call, if there was something that resonated with her and maybe the moment. And I love the quote that she came back with that I'd like to just it kind of speaks to the moment that we're in. And it says, it's James Baldwin. It says, I love America more than any other country in the world. And exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. And for me, when I read that, I just thought, we need to do exactly what we're doing. We need to ask those questions, come in where we can, build community and talk about these issues and tell our stories. I saw Cheryl in the comment. It's just continuing to story tell. And I think that's kind of how we start to normalize, the mixed multiracial community and finding the language to use. So I want to encourage folks to just continue to tell everybody, tell your stories. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for adding that, Sonia. So we are going to wrap up. I wish we could continue this conversation all day, but we all do have lives. So I do want to say I'm going to allow everybody to do quick plugs and tell us where we can find you. But before that, there is one thing I want to bring up. So up top, we, did land acknowledgements, but I also wanted to share various ways that we can make sure we can authentically and genuinely support the Indigenous community. As land acknowledgements have become more common, but they tend to be a little bit more performative now. Not that I'm saying that's what we were doing, but here's some ways that we can support. One thing is you might have a voluntary land tax in your area. Please research that and you can donate to the land tax. You can also check out the land back movement and educate yourself on that. It's a hashtag, it's a whole thing. There's so much information available on it. Yes, and I know with the land tax, you can make a recurring monthly donation with that. Additionally, you can, shop obviously Indigenous owned businesses and attend Indigenous led protests and get involved in your local tribal issues as well and offer that support. I know some things like in Seattle, for example, you can make rent payments to the Duwamish tribe. You can also in the San Francisco Bay Area contribute to the Shumi land tax. So there's ways to monetarily donate that I think offsets so much. And then also just make sure we're supporting causes and calls to action. And right now there is one that, in case some of y'all didn't know, I wanted to highlight on our platform right now. The Navajo Nation has a call out for support right now because there is a mining company, a uranium mining company called Energy Fuels Inc. that is illegally transporting uranium ore from one mine in Arizona to a processing site in Utah. And there is a law that is supposed to protect the Navajo Nation's land from this because it can cause environmental issues. As we know, it can cause health issues. This is, the long-term impacts on health of uranium mining are still, I don't think we fully know the scope of that. And this is also highlighting broader issues of tribal sovereignty as well, too. So please check out online and support the Navajo Nation and, support the calls because this is happening right now. Okay, thank you. I'm going to let the panelists go ahead, plug what you would like and let people know where they can find you. And then we'll do the same thing for MASC at the end, and then we'll let everybody go. Okay. Alex, would you like to go first?
Sure, you can find me. I'll put everything in the chat, and I was typing it out right now on Instagram. And here's my email address. Here's our websites for Mixed Asian Media, Mixed Asian Day. Tickets are not available yet. It will be a free event, but we just have to make sure I have a head count so I don't have a fire hazard like I did last year. Rohan was there, so they can attest to this. Yeah, reach out to me. I try to be really responsive. I am a little swamped right now. I'm going to be totally honest about that just because of gearing up for Mixed Asian Day. But please come. It's going to be on the 14th of September in the Terasaki Budokan in Little Tokyo from 12 to 6, we're doing a marketplace of co-market companies. So there'll be some really cool vendors. And then we're also doing panels. We have a mental health panel of Yellow Chair Collective and friends. We have a mixed Asians in media panel. We have a Pacific Islander panel, and we have a mixed Asian authors panel. And then after that, head on over to Inacrew in Little K-Town, because we're going to have our after party starting at 9 p.m. And at 10 p.m., my favorite Jewish Japanese comedic is going to be performing, Dylan Adler. So please come. It is all free. Bring your friends. You do not have to be mixed to be there. It is a community event, and come out.
Yay! All right, Gabrielle.
Mine's very simple. You can message me on Instagram. It's literally just my first name, @Gabrielle. I am retitling and reworking my podcast to be more effective and to be more productive and a little bit more uplifting than it already was. It was very much like a baby idea. And after running a few episodes, I was like, okay, this is way bigger than I thought. And it's my baby, so I'm being very, very thoughtful about it. So stay tuned for that. But you can get all of my information and upcoming projects on my Instagram. And please message me. I love connecting with my community and expanding these things bigger and uplifting as much as I can, because I fully believe in lift as we rise. And what better time to do it than right now?
Okay, Rohan, thank you so much, Gabrielle. Also, what a flex that you're like, oh, it's just my name, Gabrielle, and you somehow.
Literally, I got very blessed to work on a series, and the PR team did their magic. I don't know who they had to pay off to get that, but I don't want to know.
I love it. Okay, go ahead, Ron.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so I'm dropping my personal stuff in the chat, as well as my organization Blasian March's info. You can find me at Diary of a Firebird on all platforms. That's also my website where you can contact me to book me for another speaking engagement, because this is part of how I actually am able to cover my bills while I organize Blasian March. So Blasian March itself, you can follow them at blasianmarch.org. Our website's a little under construction still, so bear with us. We're a team of 3 volunteers, so be patient while we fix our website. What else is coming up? Let's see. So I guess I can plug a couple events we have upcoming. So September 14th, we'll definitely be cross-marketing with Alex, but we'll be hosting our first ever Blasian March Book Fair in Orlando, Florida. We'll be giving out free books from Black and Asian writers. We'll also have panels, performances. There is a GoFundMe link. I put it in the chat. The funds there will go directly towards our partners, Kizzy's Books and More. They are a Black woman-owned bookstore in Orlando, and so the money that's sent there will help them actually buy books for the event. October 19th, more info to be announced, but we are hosting or co-sponsoring a night of Haitian and Palestinian art and culture. So come down for some free food, some performances, learn some Dubkey, get to meet people, learn more about the connections between Haitian and Palestinian struggles for basic human rights, statehood, liberation, all the things. Also, I have not publicized this yet, but November, we are launching a photo exhibit with Pace University here in New York City. So if you're in the area, come on down. We are going to be having a reception sometime in mid-November, but stay tuned for that. We'll announce all that on the socials. I know at some point we will have our listserv up and running ASAP. Again, team of 3 volunteers, be patient. But that is Blasian March right now.
It's so amazing. Honestly, I'm wowed by everyone, but I just love how the 3 of y'all are also prominent examples of different spaces and ways you can show up and still serve the cause and still, show the different ways it can be done. And I'm so, so grateful. that we were able to allow y'all that we were able to just come together. Okay, Sonia's gonna plug Mask, and also Sonia's doing her own thing over there too, so she's gonna plug her stuff. I'll do mine, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. I know I'll make it super brief. Thank you guys for hanging out with us over time. Thanks for running this. So, thanks again to all our board members on the call. I know a few of us are headed over to Loma Film Festival. It's a second annual. Shout out to Thomas and Delia for, of course, leading the way. So if you're in LA and you are available tonight, we're having a fabulous Loma Film Festival at La Plaza, downtown LA. Also, outside of Mask, again, amazing calls were being, Cat Lady for Kamala, working women, whoever it was, white dudes for Kamala, this whole thing. And everybody started asking us, is there any way that we could have a mixed race, multiracial plus allies type of call? So we heard you, we heard the community. We are rallying outside of Mask, of course, but we are going to get that call together. And so it'll be a multiracial plus community allies for to kind of mobilize a call. So stay tuned for that. Lastly, Mixed Up Clothing is my children's wear brand. We just got into Target, so I hope folks will support us and head to target.com. And again, another example of coming in where you get in where you fit in type of thing. I was making children's clothes for my kids who identify as Korean, Mexican, and Black. So I was making clothes for them that kind of celebrated our cultures, their cultures. And from there, it kind of took to get to where we are now, where even in fashion, even in pitching Mixed Up Clothing to, say, a large retailer, they asked me, where do you see Mixed Up Clothing fitting, like next to what brand? And I was like, oh, here we go. So even in fashion, even in retail, I'm still asking, I still kind of have to get that mindset of where do I fit in? Where did the clothes lie? So anyway, I am showing up through retail and fashion and through Mask and through this phone call. So I hope to see everybody. Stay tuned on Mask's site, on our social media pages and Facebook and newsletter. Thank you.
Amazing. I just love seeing what everyone's doing. And just to wrap it up, I am Asian Soph. You will find me at Mixed Present on Instagram. I'll put it in the chat. You will also find me at Asian_Soph on IG and TikTok. I talk a lot about racism and things. And then also, DM me, share your stories, share your questions. I love to answer those as well too. And for anyone who's in LA, I'm putting the link to the Loma Film Festival event tonight. It's from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I would love for y'all to join us. It's Mixed Latino Film Festival. We'll have awards. It's our second annual. Shout out to Thomas for organizing it, being one of the main organizers for it, who's also on this call. Please, you can check out that link and attend tonight if you'd like. It's free also. So yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. I've appreciated being able to hold this space with everybody, and I love that y'all joined us. Thank you so much.